episode 27. My name is Tori or Victoria, and I am the mastermind behind the crazy, and well, thank you for joining me today. Today is, what day is it? It's July 18th. It's a lovely, well, rainy Saturday. I'm podcasting a little later on Saturday than I normally would because I waited for a lovely thunderstorm to pass through. If you're on Instagram, I put up a few stories. It got dark as night out there. It was pretty intense, but it looks like it's passing through. So since I mentioned Instagram, I should also mention where you can find me on the internet. You can find me on Instagram as Victoria Schwanke. You can find me on Ravelry as lilwestie, Lilwestie, if you are using Ravelry right now. You can find me on the blog, of course, at woolymastadon.wordpress.com, as well as YouTube under Victoria Schaffner. And let's see here, Facebook. Not super active there other than to upload the podcast and maybe a few things, remnants that I've copied over from Instagram. So if you want to see what I'm doing a little more regularly, go to Instagram, although I haven't been on there as much lately. Posting? I don't know. I just haven't been, so we'll see. But anyway, it's going to be a short episode this week, and you'll see as the episode goes on, there's one common theme. I can be kind of stupid sometimes. I'm not always paying the most attention when it doesn't matter. Let me put it that way. When I'm at work and things, I pay attention, but when it's things for myself, that's not the end of the world. Yeah, let's just get into the episode. Anyway, I don't have any finished objects FOs this week. I really didn't knit a whole lot this past 2 weeks, in part because I just wasn't feeling it, and I was a little tired because this Monday, I officially went back into the office full time. I was working from home. The office is still not officially open to the public, but they needed someone else in there because things were picking up enough that they need another person. So, I mean, that is good. That's good. But anyway, I don't have as much to show, so let's just get right into the knitting. I have all of 2 things to show, and one of them isn't going to look like I did a whole lot of anything because you know what it is. Dana by Caitlin Hunter. Tegna, because I always spell it because I will always be struggling with this until the end of time. But this is the sweater that I am reknitting after I ripped out, and I'm going to see, yeah, I have that table perfectly placed. But I have been putting some work onto this. It may not look like much, but I have added to the stockinette section. So this plain section here, I have certainly added to it. I've been working on it on evenings when I don't really want to work on anything else, other than something that's just like a quick, easy, don't have to think about it, knit round and round and round, because that's where I'm at on this sweater. And I figure I should get some work done on this. And actually, this may get a little bit more love this weekend, depending on how much time I have to spend. Because I've been really working on my other work in progress. I only have worked on 2 things, so I'm only going to show 2 things this time around, because, yeah, I've kind of dropped the ball, but it's because I spent my last weekend doing other things, which I will share later. But yeah, I'm working on this. This is knit out of US 3. Of course, I set this right on my pattern notes, and I don't remember the millimeters. 3.25 millimeter needles. This is knit out of Knit Pick Stroll Hand Paint in the Sunny Afternoon colorway, and this is my second time knitting this. Hopefully my last. It looks a little small, but it's big. Trust me. So anyway, I am glad I am working on this. So this is my first of 2 works in progress. And I'm going to zip this bag shut because if Midnight comes in here, she'll decide this is her favorite thing because she loves that project. I don't know why. She just loves the yarn. She loves chasing it all the way around. My other work in progress is another Caitlin Hunter pattern. Another one that I cannot pronounce to save my life. Terrell Dago. It's a beautiful shawl pattern, and I have put some work on here. It may not look like a lot, but I've actually put quite a bit of work on here. This is also being knit on US 3.25 millimeter needles as I drop the knitting bag. And I am knitting it out of 3 colors, and since this color isn't attached, we'll start with this right now. This is Knit Circus Greatest of Ease in the High Voltage Speckle colorway. I'm using, this is Hedgehog Fiber. what is this one? Twist sock in the anime colorway. And then I'm using Knitted Wit single fingering in the Hawaii volcano colorway. And I have been put quite a bit of work on here. Let's not lose my stitches. I almost lost my stitches on here. Since you last saw this is tangled up in all kinds of yarn because I'm currently striping. But since you last saw this, I wasn't super far into the striped section. As the yarn, let me just take a moment here. Please hold while I untangle. But I am a lot farther into the striped section, as you can see. I'm now to the point where we're kind of creating a triangle. The shape is changing, and I'm in the stripe section a little longer, and then I have a huge lace section out of this color, and then we're almost there. Once I hit that lace section, there's only one section, I believe, after it, where I have to knit something else, and I don't know what it is yet, but it is getting quite large. I don't even know if you can see all of it, but it is getting quite large. And this has been really fun to knit. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, I like it. I'm really glad that I purchased this pattern several years ago, and because I just liked how it looked and I knew I'd want to knit it, and sure enough, I knew I wanted to knit it, and I'm really happy I am out of these neon colors. So, like I said, it's hard to see right now, but I've done a lot of the striped sections, so that is what we're working with on this one. This is basically what I worked on this past week for the most part. If I didn't feel like I had to knit just the stockinette on the sweater, I was knitting on this. And these are actually the two knitting projects I have work on, as I drop one of the things that I have other things I've been working on. But this is one of the two knitting projects I've been working on, or two of two. So that is it. That is it. Let me pick this up. I'm dropping everything today. That is it for my knitting content. Most of the way, I should say. Let me make all kinds of noise here. We'll go through it. I haven't put any work into my spinning. I'm spinning the Camelot Dye Works Mermaid Lagoon on my Kromsky Minstrel, and it hasn't been touched since last podcast, so I'm not going to update you here until I get some more work on it, hopefully soon. Upcoming cast-ons are staying the exact same, other than I kind of want to crochet something or knit something to decorate my work desk, because I think that would be cool, especially since there's hardly anybody in there in that workplace right now, so it'd be kind of fun to bring some color there. But yeah, other than that, that hasn't changed either. Like I said, this is going to be short. I do have some stash enhancements, and this is a weird one. Excuse the crinkling. But this is Walmart yarn, and they had Hometown USA on sale. So I got two of this color, which is Fayetteville Frost. It's really pretty. And then I got three of this color, which is Milwaukee Midnight. So really pretty. And it's still a longer pay. But they were on clearance, so I snagged those up, and I probably won't use these until closer to winter because they're quite thick, but I'm really not sure what I'm going to do with them yet. But I feel like they could go together in some kind of project, and they would look really cool. So I do have some random stash enhancements, but that's the long and the short of it. Because we're going to go on to a new segment on this podcast, which probably was inevitable, but I now have a sewing segment for when I occasionally do hardly anything. So this is where this is where my weekend went last weekend. Into these 4 masks. Let's see. I knew I was going to go back into the office. I found out mid last week. They asked me if I could come back in because they needed another person to help with the contactless pickup, taking the calls. So I went back into the office, and I knew I would need masks because they were wearing masks in certain situations, but in other situations you weren't required to wear a mask in the office because there was like nobody there. So if you're far enough away, it didn't matter. Well, now everyone has to wear masks in the office because of a Dane County mandate, which makes sense. it's fine. It's not a big deal. But I didn't have any fabric ones, and I realized if I'm going to be wearing these every day, I probably should have some fabric ones sewn instead of just the disposable. So that weekend I went out to sew some masks, and I have a sewing machine. It's sitting over here. If I think about it, I will put a picture in here. It was my grandpa's sewing machine, and then my mom used it for a while. Hers needed some repairs, so she just used this one because it's the same machine. And then I learned on this one. I have very, very, very little to nothing knowledge of sewing. Let me put that out there. Sewing machines, my knowledge is horrendous. I barely know anything. I want to learn more, and I can get by, but my knowledge of a sewing machine is horrendous. So last weekend I got the sewing machine out. I have never had a space for this, so we'll put it out here. This was at my dad's house. Even after my husband and I got married, it stayed there because we didn't have space for it. Well, once we got married and once we're going to move to Madison, the area where we are now, well, just south of Madison, he said, well, take the sewing machine with you. And he was going to get my mom's repaired if he needed to use it for any reason, which we still haven't because COVID hit, but he doesn't really use the sewing machine anyway. So I got the sewing machine from my grandpa, which was also my mom's. It's a Kenmore Ultra Stitch 12, and it's a very nice machine. It's very well taken care of. And I set it up last weekend, and I couldn't get it to start. It wouldn't turn on. I couldn't get the foot pedal to start, and I thought it was weird because the light would turn on. So I'm like, okay, there's something wrong with the foot pedal. And I had a whole ordeal. I couldn't figure it out. Spoiler alert, I didn't really look in the menu either. So I hand sewed these masks. Which took the weekend. So this is where my knitting time went last weekend. I hand sewed 4 masks. They actually came in a kit that my husband got for me at Walmart, which was really sweet. I didn't have to cut out any fabric or anything. I just had to sew everything together and cut the elastic, and then I supplied my own metal for the nose piece. Or wire, I should say. Metal. Well, it is metal. And so I sewed 4 of these, and they've been working great. They're what I need. Unfortunately, these are the ones behind the ears, so eventually I'll need to either crochet or knit something so that these aren't hurting the backs of my ears, because they already were starting to hurt Thursday and Friday, so with extended wear it starts to get a little annoying. But I've got one in this light blue. I've got one in a dark blue. And how these work is they expand quite a bit. So, and then I've got one in this is probably my favorite fabric. It's got little birds, or butterflies, I think, and flowers. And then a green one, which I feel like my mom would have loved. This is right up Mom's alley. But I hand stitched these. And then this week I was thinking about, okay, I'm going to have to call to get my machines, find a place that will fix machines. And one night I was up, it was like 11 o'clock. We go to bed a little earlier just because my husband typically has to get up really early for work, and then I just like to sleep. But we would typically go to bed a little earlier, and I had been laying in bed for like an hour, and I'm just like, there's got to be something I'm missing. So I started Googling. I didn't when I was testing the machine to run it, I didn't turn the machine on. I thought the light switch was just the light switch. No, the light switch is the on switch. I didn't have my machine on. So I wasted an entire weekend hand sewing masks, but I could have just turned it on and used it. But anyway, so this weekend I hope to sew a couple more, because I want to have at least 5 to 7 masks that I can rotate through, since I'm going to be wearing them every day. And I figured that just made more sense. So it is now set up again. I had put it back in its box because I didn't want to look at it. Well, now I have it this morning while it was super dark and it was storming. I set it back up. It's on the desk. It has a place now, which feels really great because that desk is no longer covered in computer stuff for work. So that is the saga. I just feel so dumb, but at least I know it's fixed. I don't have to worry about a hefty repair bill right now. I mean, things could still go wrong, but thankfully that machine is up and running, so we're good. And that is where all my time went. But now that I have a sewing machine and I know it's properly working and everything, I do want to dabble in a little bit more sewing just because it is available to me. I want to sew a couple more project bags. Maybe I've got it here. Oh, this style. But I need to sew another one in, this is a mess, in this size. This is my sock size, I would say. This is like the ideal sock travel bag. I need to sew another one of these. Like, priority number one after mask sewing will be that. We'll see if I get to it anytime soon. But so that's kind of the new rabbit hole. Not new, but newer to me because I want to learn a little bit more about sewing, and now I actually have the tools to do it and out in a place where I can use it. So that's nice and exciting. So that's going to be the bulk of this episode today, is me discussing how I can be so silly about sewing. But I did find out that hand sewing is relatively therapeutic, and I didn't mind it, and at the end there my stitches started to look a little more even. Like, I can hand sew, I want it to look perfect, and it's not going to look perfect when you hand sew something, so. But nobody was the wiser, because this pattern you don't have to top stitch, so I didn't top stitch, so you can't see my stitches at all. So nobody knew until I divulged the information. So I'm trying to see. Non-knit loves, we'll move on to that, and of course I buried one of the things, so we'll just leave it. But this week we finally invested in an actual shelving unit for my plants. So I will insert a picture here, hopefully. But that was kind of the big thing. I can't even speak today. My plants were on like a large, basically TV tray, folding table in front of the window in our bedroom. And it was working, but it was definitely crowded, and I needed a shelving unit because my dad still has some of my cactus that are still alive, and I would like to bring those down here so I can take them off his hands. So we invested in a plant shelf. Well, I did, because they're my plants. And it's kind of like that, I like to describe it as one of those like stainless steel, like chrome plated restaurant supply shelving units. So the shelves are not solid, they're kind of like a grate. And I was hoping that that would deter Midnight from jumping on it, and then I can have my plants on it. And if I do spill a little bit of water, I can clean it up easily. Yes, it'll go to the floor, but I can have like a covering on the bottom so it doesn't hit the carpet. But yeah, like, I now have a nice plant shelf. My plants are super happy in the spot. They have a little more room to breathe. And then I have shelving underneath where I've decided, I think right now I'm going to put my current works in progress on that shelf because I'm trying to keep it as clear as possible of clutter. So we'll see if I succeed on that shelf. But I already love it because the plants have more light because they're right in the window, and it makes the room look more like a jungle. And because the TV tray I was using was sticking out more into the room, the plant shelf is more up against the wall, and so it's just, there's more space. I love it. I love it all together. So that was my non-knit love. So that was really nice. It's nice to have it. I'm glad we've got it, and I think the plants will be better off in the long run too. I'm trying to think. Let me think. So life lately. Well, I kind of already divulged that. I went back to the office, and that's basically been taking the bulk of my time. The fact that I kind of lose a little bit of time. I don't lose a whole lot of time in the morning because my morning routine really doesn't change that much. But in the evening, I do lose that 25 minutes that I didn't have of commute time for a while. So trying to get used to that. It's not that big of a deal. I don't have a long commute. I say 25 minutes because literally from the time I clock out, I get home at 5:25. So that includes me clocking out, getting out of the building, and coming home. So, and actually getting into the apartment. So like, it's negligible and it's not that big of a deal. So, but I'm just kind of been adjusting to being in the office again, being around all these people again, which there's hardly any, and everybody's been really great, but just getting used to that routine after being gone for 4 months. So I've been a little more tired and just kind of focusing more on resting and making sure I have everything taken care of here and making sure I'm still exercising and things like that. So it's kind of my focus, but I think now that the first week is under my belt back at the office, I can actually focus on knitting when I get home and more things like that. So we will see. But otherwise, yeah, the sewing machine saga. I hopefully this weekend I can get more sewing in because I want to make a couple more masks and I want to knit and spin. I have all these plans. We'll see how far I get. But anyway, I'm rambling your ear off. I'm running out of things to say. So with that, thank you so much for joining me today. If you got this far, thanks for listening to my word vomit for however many minutes this will actually end up being. If you can't tell, I'm over the moon excited that I have a sewing machine now at my disposal. I am just so excited. I have so many ideas. I don't know how much I'll do and how much down the rabbit hole I will go, but I will share it with you as I go down that road, and we'll just keep sharing what I create. Again, you can find me on Instagram, so give me a follow there, Victoria Schwanke, Ravelry, lilwestie, lilwestie, the blog, of course, woolymastadon.wordpress.com, YouTube, please join me here, and of course a little bit on Facebook, but not much. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, please give a subscribe to the channel, comment below, share it with your friends. Let's build this community on YouTube and on the internet and as a whole. So let's just build this community. I would absolutely love that. And with all of that said, I hope you have a wonderful couple of weeks ahead, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. I love it. I love it so much.